Flavia. So, have you ever heard of a character named Raiden Shogun? Tencent Games, can we please not copy Hoyoverse on every single character design, please? Because this is literally just Raiden Shogun. Anyways, with that being said, this is a Flavia guide. Hopefully you guys enjoy. This is a Flavia's guide for dummies, and hopefully you guys enjoy and hopefully learn how to play this damn character, because this character is really easy, as you'll find as I talk about this guide. Okay, so the first thing that I'm going to talk about is just her overall kit, just what it exactly does. So the first thing, her skill, it's a little bit complicated and a little bit wordy, and honestly some of this wording is not exactly fully correct. So basically, what this skill basically does, she gets butterflies that follow her. While she has these butterflies that follow her, the first instance of damage that she takes instantly turns her into a bunch of butterflies for 2 seconds. While she is a bunch of these little butterflies, she is completely immune to all damage. That is the first thing that I'm going to say about her skill, and now let's move on to her ultimate. Flavia's ult is very simple. Think of it like a domain expansion. She creates a little domain expansion, and anytime she dies while she's in this domain expansion, she turns into a bunch of butterflies for 3 seconds and then respawns. It is literally just that simple. Now granted, as you'll find throughout this video, I talked about this ultimate a lot because this ultimate is very, very strong, and it's very, very good in terms of all the different things you can do with it, such as, but not limited to, take 3v1s, honestly, maybe even take 4v1s, simply survive if you use it to literally fucking heal, because guess what? When you die, you come back with full health, and you even come back with some armor if you're using temp armor. But let's not get ahead of myself, that's for the next tidbit, after I talk about the passive. Okay, and in case you're curious as to why on earth I'm talking about the skill and ult before I talk about the passive, it's because the passive ties very heavily with these two. So basically, her passive, anytime she takes 15 damage, and I mean this literally any time, not just once, she reduces her cooldown by 1 second. So basically, a thing that's very cool is that you can basically pop skill first thing before engaging in a fight, and then just run away because you turn into butterflies at the first sight of damage. And then you can also just simply take more damage and then use the skill twice in one round very quickly. This is Flavia's biggest strength, as you'll find. The second part of her passive allows her to gain a temporary ult point anytime she takes 160 damage. Now, personally, I don't find myself finding use of this too often, but you can every once in a while use it, and it comes up when it does come up, so you'll definitely be talking about that later on in the video as well. And here is a quick TLDR in all the awakenings. Awakening number 1 just lets you heal after going invincible. Awakening number 2 straight up changes your ability to instantly release these Phantom Orb and instantly release the stealth state. I'm telling you right now, this is bad. You actually do not want this. This is terrible. Awakening 2 is terrible. Do not get it. Avoid it like the plague if you can. And then Awakening 3. After the duration of your Phantom Orb, or well, after it gets destroyed at least, all the damage that your Phantom Orb took, which yes, they can destroy it, was converted into temporary armor. And let me follow up on that point when I said Awakening 2 is bad. Awakening 2 is terrible. In fact, it's actually more of a debuff 9 times out of 10 that you'll find. So, most certainly do not use this thing. This thing actively hurts you. That is how bad this thing actually is. Alright, perfect. Now that we know how her kit works, now let's talk about how to actually use that kit. Firstly, the first thing that I need to say is she is a duelist. She is a duelist. She is a duelist. Please, please take fights. I hate it. I hate it every single time. I play ranked and I get a Flavia that just doesn't take fights. Please, take fights. And if you can't aim, learn to aim, because this character is a duelist. And let me follow up on that previous point by teaching you how to pick fights, because that's also another thing that you need to know how to do while playing Flavia. Now, granted, with Flavia it is much easier to do because her kit is very forgiving. You can literally press Q before engaging in a fight, do a little bit of firing, right? Get a little bit of damage in or whatever, then you'll get hit inevitably. And then decision time. So pretty much what you want to do is once you turn to butterflies, see if your person that you're fighting, right? See if a teammate is coming around to help them. If a teammate is coming around to help them, run back to your team so that way you can basically create a 2v5 situation. Or if the person is just still alone and well nobody's coming to help them, quickly go out of your invincibility and kill them right there. Because you let out a phantom orb that works very similar to Reyna's orb. Alright, now it's time for me to talk about how to use that 3v1 ass ability. Fucking the ultimate. The ultimate is unironically probably one of the best abilities in the entire game. I'm just gonna say that right now. And not using this thing correctly is actually gonna annoy the hell out of your teammates. This thing is so broken. And the way that you use this is very, very simple. You literally perform a Reaper's Ret Dream. You just go in the middle of the team, you cast the ult, and then you proceed to just wreak havoc upon every single person that happens to be in your domain. Like, your domain is so powerful. You unironically would think you're Satoru Gojo with how powerful this shit is. Some extra little pointers though to be a little more specific though, and give some extra tips. One, if you find that your domain is about to run out and you still haven't completely aired out everybody, try to lean a little more towards cover so that way you can use your skill on your way out and quickly get out, so that way you don't get insta-killed immediately after your domain if you do end up not being able to kill a bunch of them. Which, granted, anytime I use ults, I usually kill one or two of them, but, if there's 3 of them, then I can definitely see where the problem is. There, and now that we have a general understanding of how to use the ultimate and the skill in the game, now, let's talk about grenades. The first one that comes to mind is smoke grenades. Smoke grenades are just always going to be really good in Stranova. Unironically, that's something that you'll probably find a lot while I'm doing this series. I'll recommend the smoke grenade a lot because this grenade is really great. You can simply throw it down on any choke point and most enemies won't want to push it. So it's also a pretty solid escape option because now your enemies have to push through something that they don't know when you do try to back up. The next one, it's a little bit of an oddball because this one isn't really all that used. The heal grenade. This one, you can just simply throw it at your feet. You can be a little bit flexible with how you use this with this character. You can either throw it at your feet before you engage in combat, so that way you can simply start shooting and while you'll have extra health and stuff. And that's always a little bit helpful when you're trying to take fights, since after all, once again, as I said at the beginning of the video, you are a duelist. Please take fights. And lastly, I want to talk about the ink grenades. The ink grenades are actually pretty solid in terms of area denial. And you might be thinking, but 1cent, didn't you just now say this character is a duelist? Yes, I did. But area denial can be useful as well for a duelist if you know how to use it. Generally speaking, you should probably use this down tight corridors so that way your victims can't really leave once the Diddy party begins. No! Armor choice, look, I'm just going to be honest, it's always light armor. Always pick light armor, don't ever pick the heavy armor. Heavy armor is terrible on this character. Light armor is amazing on this character. Light armor is amazing on this character because her skill literally lets you go invincible for literally 2 seconds. 2 seconds gives you 12 shield. And if you're playing this character correctly, you should also, if you disengage, be disengaged for a little longer than 2 seconds. So therefore, you should also be getting more regen value out of this. And overall, the regen value from your light armor is just worth way, way, way more than your heavy armor could ever be worth. And now let's talk about the skill and passive and when you should get it. Look, I think you should get the skill first, because Phantom Butterfly lasting for 2 more seconds is always amazing. And once again, as I said before, Phantom Butterfly is pretty much makes your fight almost free. Like, you're always gonna live no matter what happens. granted you are using it properly and you are using it in a way that you can always back up to your team if you need to. Secondly, your passive, you should get this very shortly after getting the skill upgrade, which you should be getting the skill upgrade after you get your armor upgrade. Because your passive is very, very powerful, and of course lets you use that skill more often, and will even let you use your ultimate more often, which, once again, as I said before, very, very powerful, very good for engaging fights, which, once again, as I have to reiterate one more time, you are a duelist. Engaging in fights is good. Oh, and obviously for your other survive category, obviously get the movement speed, because movement speed will help you engage and disengage in fights whenever you need to. And now let's talk about your attachments. Your attachments for your output, this should be rate of fire during the first round, but then later on you might be interested in changing in base damage, just dependent on what type of armor your enemies are running. For a critical hit, you would rather be running increased headshot damage, especially if you're running rate of fire, because headshot damage is very, very huge. And if you're a duelist, like I said before, please learn how to aim. And then for accurate, just improve accuracy. Don't bother with recoil control. Recoil control is actually kind of bad because recoil will take you up to the head. Battery life, of course, increase reload speed. Usually increase reload speed at least. You might want to 32 round magazine if you just can't aim that well, which you can get away with not aiming that well. Flavia's kit is very, very strong, in case you couldn't tell. Alright, there. Now we know how to play Flavia. Flavia, once again, is a very easy character, as your success with her will only be defined by how aggressive you are with her. She is a very aggressive character. You're supposed to be very aggressive with her. I don't get it. I don't get why people don't do this. But if you're watching this video, please be aggressive with her. And honestly, that's the entire TLDR of this video, if you really, really, really wanted to just skip to the end and have me say the TLDR. With that being said, if you enjoyed the video, please leave a like and subscribe. Or if you're watching this on TikTok, because I'll probably do like what those other people do, just like post like videos in like small little parts or whatever. Make sure to leave a follow. I'll try to make more videos. And if you guys really like this, I might actually expedite my next video a little bit more faster. With that being said, see you guys next time.